Okay, so we heard some great things this track about API ecosystems. So what I would like to share with you now is um, the idea of how we can uh, make sure that our partnerships have a good fit with what the business itself, our business is trying to achieve. So I have some concepts I'd like to share with you, and hopefully that will help to put things into perspective in regard to the different technologies and the different business opportunities that are possible with APIs. So, of course, the reason we partner is to do more for our customers. We want to amplify our growth beyond the resources that we have within our own organization. And of course, to make that sustainable, we need to make sure that our partnerships are pretty solid. We're partnering with the right people, and we're partnering in a very sustainable way. So you may have seen the API landscape. This is a really busy slide because you actually need, this is just a snapshot of the number of organizations that are publishing APIs in order to serve partners and customers better. Well, that's really complex, and it is aligned along different industries and use cases. But what I want to do is break down what are the sort of the principles that we think about when we need to develop partnerships. If you look at that landscape, or indeed anything about APIs, you see that there is a spectrum of business and partnership models, and the two ends of that are really whether you want to be a marketplace that is, like for example, Salesforce have an app exchange that has, I think, over 9,000 partner applications on it. Shopify itself has over 3,000. Zero, you'd think accounting is accounting, but they have over 900 partner applications in their marketplace. So there's the marketplace model, and then there are companies who decide to do one thing and decide to do that very well and make it easy for other companies to consume their service through their API. This is the spectrum, but we're not all at both ends of at either end of that spectrum. So just to illustrate the companies that have thought about how their place in a customer journey and realize that they can make it easy for other organizations to embed their service in that journey. If you look at an e-commerce business, they may use Shopify to set up their shopfront. They may be using Salesforce for their CRM. But then when they get to doing other things, like the customer has decided to purchase their product, they've selected something from the product catalog, there needs to be a customer record in the CRM, and then something needs to be physically shipped. Well, the organizations, logistics firms like DHL have realized that they can make it easier for merchants by exposing APIs so that a package can be organized to be shipped. If a purchase needs to be insured, then an insurance company that is API enabled can offer the merchant the ability to offer that insurance. Of course, the merchant has to take payment, and that can be from a range of payment providers. And then they need to communicate with that customer. When's your package arriving? What are the other steps in the chain? So When people think about publishing APIs, they probably think about the ability to embed your service in someone else's customer journey. And that's certainly a viable model. If you look at financial services, just for example, the wealth management, then you've got everything ranging from identifying the customer, the KYC process, gathering market data. If you don't have your own data science capability and you want to offer an automated investment product or robo-advice, there's a service that can do that. Brokers can obviously execute trades on your behalf. But this is not the only model for partnering. So to look at this, I want to break down, well, what are the things that you should think about when you start to consider your partner strategy and what your business itself is trying to achieve. So as an objective, we want to gain more customers. Of course, everybody wants more customers, but there may be certain segments that we're not serving very well. Meet more of their needs, gain greater share of their spending. In order to do that effectively, though, we should look clearly at what the business is trying to achieve. We should think about our customer journey and who else is involved in this customer journey. Are we the only ones in the customer journey? Very likely not. What are the sorts of partners who we should be looking to form a relationship with? And what are the relative strengths of those partners? And consider how we're going to go to market with that. So in terms of aligning with a business strategy, you start with the customer. Your organization will have an ideal customer profile. But when you consider their customer journey, there are probably other companies involved in selling to that customer. And are they organizations that offer a complementary product or service to yours? And then also consider, well, actually, what is the business objective? Is it to get more customers for your product, or is it to get more product for your customers? And there's a very distinct difference between those. So in addition to considering what your ideal customer profile is, you should think about what your ideal partner profile could be, and then what sort of partnership model might help you reach those customers, and how would you go to market with them. So I'd like to share with you some partnership models, and I've divided them up in terms of the degree of closeness to your own organization, and the coupling in terms of the technology and the business. But again, it's about whether you want more customers for your product or more product for your customers, and who's going to control the relationship with the customer, whose brand is going to be in front of them, and who's going to actually serve the customer. So the first model, white label, I think this is pretty easy to understand because we just saw several examples of this. If you partner with a white label provider, as you decide to use their product in a bit like how we heard from Debbie Watkins from Lucy about how they used another organization's financial services license, and it's their brand facing the customer, but they're using these pieces from other people. So you can apply your own branding. Very often these services are available as a service, and So you can add that to your product or service catalog in a very seamless way to your customer. So it's not surprising that successful examples of this include payments, but I guess even surprised to see that there are artificial intelligence models that can also be delivered in this white label model. The next one, distribution. This is slightly different from white label, principally in terms of whose brand is in front of the customer. So if you are if you're producing a product or service, but it's important that your brand is in front of that customer, then a distribution arrangement may make more sense to you than a white label arrangement. And we see examples of companies that are distributing other people's products, but the brand needs to be there. In financial services, you see comparison websites showing different financial products that help customers select the one that's most appropriate to them. SingSaver is an example. Once you select something from that range that they're showing you, they direct you to that financial institution that, as a distributor, they're going to expect some sort of distribution arrangement. The banks have for a long time distributed insurance products in a similar way. And the distinction is not just in terms of the branding, it's also who's ultimately going to serve the customer. Because if you need to make a claim on an insurance policy, well, DBS is going to direct you to their insurance partner rather than serve that themselves. So the responsibility for who's doing what is it needs to be clarified also. Cross-promotion often works well when you have two or more companies that are serving the same customers but with complementary products. And you see this particularly in relation to loyalty schemes by large organizations, again, banks, but also airlines, retail companies, and offering them some sort of a payment card helps to cement the relationship. It offers customers more choices for both earning and redeeming points, and so it helps them helps to retain their loyalty. And it's also not so hard to build to harmonize the loyalty schemes of the different providers. They both already have very large customer bases, and they're looking for more ways to give those customers more choices in order to make that relationship more sticky. And then the marketplace model, which we've seen in a number of different areas. So in e-commerce firms offering many partners, many categories, and also some of the larger software as a service providers that have realized they are the system of record for the customer. And I think this is particularly true of organizations like Salesforce, which have the system of record for customer information. Shopify is the system of record for the product catalog. Xero, of course, is the system of record for the company's accounts. And so publishing APIs and making it possible for other companies to build on top of that, to extend it, can make very good sense. Where you are the system of record for, say, accounting information, well, there are other firms that may be able to produce a module that helps companies in a particular industry manage their cash flow, or to pay their staff, or to pay their taxes. So the accounting firm may not be the only the only person who can solve that problem, and to build it all themselves would be quite onerous. Now, those examples of Salesforce, Shopify, and Xero, they all have really good products themselves, but they've realized that letting partners help them to extend that range is very good for business. But so having selected the type of partners and the partnership model, then you need to think about, well, what are the real capabilities that an organization should develop in order to successfully partner at scale. So there are both business and technical capabilities. The first one is strategic alignment, as I've mentioned. But very often in a large enterprise, your lines of business don't necessarily have the skills to form partnerships. So having a center of excellence or a partnership team that understands the nature of partnerships is really useful. Governance is pretty important because you don't want to partner with just anybody. You need to make sure that you're partnering with a viable business. And earlier in the day, we were talking to Jean Lim about making sure that you understand who are the parties that you're dealing with is quite important. And on the technical side, I think anyone who's been involved with APIs realizes you need an API-enabled architecture. But I think it's also important to understand that you and build a repeatable yet thorough onboarding process for your partners. And of course, you want to make sure that you understand how successful those partnerships are. So at the time that you're building your onboarding process, you should also be building in the systems to measure the success of those partnerships and to monitor them. In your go-to-market strategy with your partner, you should be thinking about not just who is the customer, but what is the combined value proposition that both of you are offering this customer. And then who's going to acquire the customers? Is it something that you're going to bring your customers, or the partner's going to bring their customers, or are you going to co-market together? And what products are going to be offered, but also what's the path to profitability? I mean, Debbie Watkins from Lucy mentioned when you're dealing with a partner, it has to be win-win. And I really think it needs to be win-win-win, because it has to be a win for the customer, it has to be a win for the partner, and of course it has to be a win for your own organization. If it's not win-win-win for all of those, then it's going to fall apart. We need to understand that there are a number of players. It's not just the developer or the person who runs that. We need to have a focus on who's going to be using this API and what purpose are they going to use it for in serving their customers. If you treat APIs like a product, then all the things that you have to consider in launching a new product also apply to launching APIs externally. All the parties that are going to help you to market it, are going to manage it, ensure that you're complying with any regulations, are going to monitor the health of the platform. They are all stakeholders in this governance process. The technology stack, I'm not going to talk too much about the technology stack because there are other sessions that are really great at this, but clearly you need a strong security and integration layer in order to serve the different channels, both internal and external, that are interacting with your customers. Account aggregators may be part of that equation. If you find the complexity of connecting to lots of different partners is very difficult and it's hard to achieve at scale, then an intermediary like an account aggregator who can bundle things up and present a single API to partners can be worth the investment. The partner onboarding process isn't just the developer portal. Of course, many organizations now have a developer portal and a sandbox to make it easy for partners to register their own account and try their try their systems, their code. But you also need the following steps. If the following steps take too long, then it's not going to scale very well. So the business assessment that I talked about, you don't want to just partner with anybody. You need to have those steps involved, and then getting to the technical readiness for the production and commercial launch is quite important. You have different measures of success with partnerships. How are you going to identify which partnerships are giving you the most value? So to put all that together, you need to consider the customer journey, which partners may help you to serve those customers, and what model would work best for them, and how you're going to go to market with that. So, in constructing your partnership strategy, the really successful one, you would have one that's well aligned with your business strategy. Have a defined ideal partner profile or profiles in the same way that your organization already has an ideal customer profile, and have a plan for going to market with it, but also a well organized process for onboarding your partners that ensures that your potential partners don't get tied up in a very long incubation period, at which time the market opportunity may have already been and gone. So that's wrapped it up for this track, and I hope you gained some value out of